inches away from getting a field goal, the man just kicked the ball through the goal. If Dallas were right there, and he kicked the football through the goal, and got the extra point, that referee would do something like this. Just imagine how God is doing right now. You're already in the Super Bowl. You already know who got the victory. You already know who got out. You already know he's a waymaker. Raise your hand and give God. Some of y'all came just because Dallas was playing, thank you. Because the game wasn't at 3-2, you came on, thank you. And I know somebody said, that Red, you didn't help, and now I'm trying to hang in there with you. I ain't gonna do you like that. But God got a word for you before we leave today. So you go to your Super Bowl parties with your family, and y'all eat your gumbos and barbecues and whatever else you got going on at your house. That's holy. We know that's holy. Thank you, Jesus. Yes, God. I want to read for your consideration in Daniel chapter 6, verses 16 through 18. Y'all get out of here. I'm trying to preach it. They won't let me preach, man. They won't let me preach. They keep going. Yes, God. Yes, God. So Duncan, they won't let me alone. They keep going. I feel like that cricket scratching his legs. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, God. Daniel chapter 6, verses 16 through 18. There's a word from God, and we're going to invite you to participate in the reading of the word as you say amens in the preaching of the gospel. Have your amens, your prayers already ready. King James translation reads from verse 16, chapter 6 of Daniel. It says, then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den. The king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Verse 18, then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Amen. I want to talk about how to handle haters. Come on. Now you got your shout out. Let me tell you how to handle haters. You know, and I almost steered away from this one because I didn't want to be exegetically incorrect. I wanted to be expositorily correct when I preached it. Come on, sir. In other words, I want to do the text justice and preach what the Word of God says and not just go off on a tangent. But as I studied the text and studied the context of the text, what we want to do this month is, the Lord bless us, is preach sermons that have to do with deliverance. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sermons that have to do with coming out. And literally the sermon series will be entitled Coming Out on Top. This is, a lot of times we have to deal with that in life, and I want to encourage us to know that we're coming out on top as believers. Amen. Amen. The book of Daniel consists of two distinct parts. The first part of Daniel consists of 6 chapters, which are pretty much historical chapters. They talk about the history of what's going on in the life of Daniel. But understand that Daniel writes in a time where he is already in exile. When you read books like Isaiah, Isaiah writes about what's going to happen before they go into exile. And as they are about to go into exile, at this point of the text, Israel is now in exile. They have been captured and taken in exile by a person by the name of Nebuchadnezzar. And at the point of the text, they've already gone in exile, they're there, and now there's a new king on the scene by the name of King Darius. And Darius is a pretty nice guy, and he writes, when Daniel writes this book, and he writes these first 6 chapters in history, Israel is now of the mindset, something like, people are asking, can you sing us one of the Lord's songs? And their response is, how can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And they shout out by the rivers of Babylon. We will. Yeah. We will. My father ministry calls that calls it the Babylon blues. They were crying by the rivers of Babylon. Come on, okay. And so here they are today. Daniel is here. And one thing about God still in the midst of our wrong. Yes, Lord. In spite of our wrong. And I think we got a few witnesses in here that can testify that in spite of our wrongs, God still finds ways that he can bless us. When we don't deserve it. But he blesses us anyhow. Dr. Robert Scott, the brother, our minister, brother, Reverend Lawson Scott, his brother said to us when we arrived in Arkansas, he said, Lord, just thank you for traveling grace and arrival mercy. That God always gives us some level of mercy, grace, in spite of. Yes, sir. Can I get a witness in spite of? I don't know about you, but I ain't always been saved. And even as a saint, sometimes I slip. Can I get a witness in this? The same things you should say. Look at those crossways that you should look at. You know what I'm talking about. But God still blesses us in him. And so Daniel found favor with the King Darius. And in fact, King Darius put Daniel in leadership position in Babylon. And that was such an awesome privilege that God would use him to bless Daniel while he was in Babylon. Not only that, he put Daniel like in second in command, because there were 2 others who were in cahoots with Daniel. He looked at them as supervisors over governors. Come on now, come on. God bless Daniel. But Daniel began to be used of God. And when you read in the context of chapter 6, you'll find that Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because he had an excellent spirit in him. And the king watched it. The king said, I'm going to put Daniel over all of y'all. Because I see something in Daniel that I don't see in you. Come on. No, Daniel is not from here. And I know he is from Israel. And I know what he's about, but I see something in Daniel. Come on. That I don't see in anybody else. And so what happens is God allows Daniel to gain favor in the mind and eyesight of Darius. And because of this, Daniel gained not only favor, but he gained some haters. Come on, man. Work it, Doc. Work it. So as we look at Daniel and we talk about, this is about the lion's den, right? Let's look at the den of haters first. Let's look at the text says, and the context says in verse number 4 of that same chapter, then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom. And when you go on up to verses 1 through 3, they were jealous. That's what haters do. If you want to know what a hater is that person who is jealous of something, of somebody, or something somebody else has. That's all a hater is. A hater is a 21st century term of somebody who envies somebody else. Somebody who's jealous of somebody else. And you know it's sad, but perfect. You don't have to be jealous. You don't have to be jealous. You know, I got members of my church who drive Mercedes.
Amen.
They drive caddies. They drive a lot of nice cars. And I drove, you know, I came here with a van. Didn't we come here in the van? When did the green van? Green.
Yes, Lord.
They were paid for it.
Amen.
Thank you, Jesus. And when I learned in life, Mama taught this, some of these things you got to learn at home. Mama taught us you don't have to be jealous of nobody. Because the same God that blessed them is the same God who can bless you. Now, he may not bless me with a Cadillac, he may not bless me with a steak, but if I can just get a Volkswagen and get from point A to point B, if I can just get me some wieners and some beans and pork and beans to get my stomach off my back,
What a blessing.
we don't have to be jealous.
No,
we don't be jealous. Look at the den of haters. They're jealous. Look at their pondering in verses 4 and 5, how they sat around pondering. They look at verse 4. They said, but they could find none occasion nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found. They were trying to find something. They tried to find something so much they couldn't find it. And then they said in verse 5, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. The only thing we're going to find against Daniel is that he's loving God. Come on, man. And you know that's pretty good, isn't it? And the only fault somebody can find in it is that you are a child of God.
what a blessing.
And here they go. When people can't find nothing on you, they start plotting. See, jealousy, if it's not fixed and changed,
That's right.
it turns into pondering on how you can do what somebody else is doing to stop them from being where God wants them. And when the pondering doesn't work, then you start plotting. And you start trying to figure out something. Look at these heartless plotters. 6 through 9, the presidents and princes assembled together, the king together to the king and said to him, King Darius, look at him trying to butter him up, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, governors and princes, the captains, consult them together, establish a law, say, we know this wouldn't even happen. For 30 days, came nobody, I don't care who it is, they cannot petition any god or man for 30 days except you, O king. Look at him trying to pump him up. Look at that subtlety. They try to, you know, a person will try to pump you up to do something you don't have no business. And look at him. They try to pump him up, and then you go skip down to verses 11 through 13, you find these men assembled and found that. That's what they do. See, some folks have a meeting on you.